and welcome to Joline Knits A Lot. This is my show about knitting and crafting and the things that I get up to here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. It's a beautiful, clear blue sky day today, and I'm wearing my latest June tank top. This is the second June tank top I've made, and I'll insert some pictures here. Again, it's a very simple pattern, and it's one by Tincanknits. I knit mine with Kelborn Woolens Mojave, which is quite a favorite yarn of mine. It is a cotton linen blend, which is perfect for cool days, or staying cool on hot days, I guess. It's also a great layering piece, as I found out with the other one that I made. Anyway, if you're looking for some warmer weather knits, I would definitely suggest the June tank top. The ones that I've knit have a lot of positive ease, which means that the finished top is bigger than my body, which gives it a drapier effect. But I think that in future, I think I would try to knit them a little bit more snug with possibly some negative ease and see how I like that fit. What have you been working on? Are you as obsessed with warmer weather knits as I am? I'm really liking the idea of knitting more warm weather knits, which is funny because I do have some. I have a couple of tank tops I've already knit. I've knit 2 tank tops this year, and I have a couple of t-shirts, but there are patterns out there that are really interesting to me. And if you are a follower of the Pom Pom magazine, you'll know that the next issue, the spring issue this year, has tons of warm weather knits. So I'm looking forward to picking that up when it comes out and thoroughly reviewing all of the patterns in there, because I am still very much in a warm weather knits sort of headspace, which is unusual for me. How about you? Do you go through periods where you knit certain things? I do find in the winter I like to knit cables. There's usually a time of year, possibly the fall, where I like to do color work. And right now, warmer weather knits are really sort of catching my eye. I do have another finished object though. Besides this June tank top, I did finish my Marseille sweater. This is another sweater by Tincanknits, and it's one that I has been on my queue for quite some time. I just love the way that this sweater looks. So here it is, all finished. It has a lovely folded over collar, which gives it a really sort of substantial look, but I think it's really a nice finished edging. You can see on the inside, this is where I seamed in the folded over ribbing, and then it's got a drop shoulder, so it's just a very square piece, and then the sweater or the sleeves are just knit straight down with a really substantial cuff, which I imagine I will be rolling up because I'm of the shorter armed variety. It does have 2 sleeves, in case you were wondering. And then again, a really substantial ribbed hem on the bottom. And this is absolutely not the weather to be wearing this in, but I think that it would be great for cooler evenings or rainy days in the spring and into fall. So that is my Marseille sweater. I knit it using some sandness garn, Tincanknits Double Sunday. That is what it's called. It's a DK yarn that is non-superwash, but a very smooth and not at all rustic feel to it. I picked it up on sale a year ago at a Canada Day sale at a local yarn shop. So I was really happy to get the actual required yarn on sale, and to have it knit up within a year is pretty good for me. I'm very much in a space where I want to be moving things through my stash instead of holding on to them for too long. And I was really happy that I could knit that sweater up and get it out of stash. Speaking of stash, I, as I just said, am very interested in reducing my stash. I know that I've made some purchases here and there, but overall I'm trying to work through the yarn that I have and not add more than I am knitting. And that is a personal preference, absolutely. But I just feel that I have had some of these skeins of yarn for a very long time, and they deserve to be worked up into the world. And I don't know why I'm hanging on to them so much. So I have been putting the work in to try and work through the stash that I have on hand. Part of my goal, or sort of, I guess, coinciding with that goal of working through my stash, was the discovery of a local crafting group called Craft for Yeg. Craft for Yeg is a group of knitters who knit for 7 different charities, everything from pet shelters to premature babies, young children, children in school, women's charities, and then also knits for the elderly. So just a wide variety, and they take almost everything. So I have been going through my stash and seeing what odds and ends I have that I can work up into projects for that both work through my stash and I can be giving to charity. Now, I have 2 finished objects, one of which is another pattern that I've had on my queue for a very long time. This is the antler hat by Tincanknits. Now, why I haven't knit this before, I don't know. But here is my antler hat that I've finished. I used some yarn from Custom Woolen Mills. Custom Woolen Mills is an Alberta-based mill. They use yarn from the Prairie Provinces, some of it from Alberta, some of it Saskatchewan, and I think mostly Saskatchewan. And they make beautiful, beautiful yarn with it. They also do other woolen products like woolen, like batting for stuffing pillows. And they also have, I believe, roving for spinning. But this is some of their rambouillet. It's a 2-ply in a natural color. They also make this in a 3-ply. So the 2-ply is kind of a heavy worsted, I would say. And the 3-ply is even heavier than that, something like a chunky. So this yarn does come in a couple of different weights, and they do dye it, so it comes in a variety of colors too, but it is quite reasonably priced. And I had a skein that was just sitting around, and this pattern that I've been wanting to knit, and it seemed like a perfect opportunity. So I knit the adult small in the antler hat. It's a great pattern. As with most Tincanknits patterns, it will fit everybody from a baby to an adult. Very stretchy, and given the wide variety of organizations that Craft for Yeg donates to, I'm sure somebody will, hopefully this hat will be keeping somebody warm next winter. So that was my antler hat. I also find that I have a lot of DK leftovers in my stash. Some of them are superwash and some of them are non-superwash and more rustic. So I've taken some of the superwash odds and ends that I have in a DK weight, and I'm making some hats for kids. These hats These hats are based on the basic Beanie pattern, which is a free pattern on Ravelry, and I'll link to it in the show notes below. Again, another free pattern that goes from, I believe, preemie to large adult, and you can knit with instructions for a flat hat or in the round, which I thought was quite thoughtful. I'm knitting them in the round, and here's one hat that I have completed using just odds and ends of DK superwash yarn. I'd be hard pressed to tell you what these all are. I can't even remember. I think this one was from I can't even remember. They're just odds and ends that I had lying around, but I think put together make a cute little hat. So here's one in some pinks. I made an extra long rib hem so that, sorry, I have some ends to cut off really. I made an extra long hem so that it can be rolled up because I find that's often a little bit warmer around the ears. So this is a child size hat that will be going into the donate pile for Craft for Yeg. And I started another one. These hats are so quick. Again, this is a child size one in some superwash DK. Again, I cannot remember the yarns. And I do like the longer rib, so I'm doing that. I'm playing with striping or color blocking. And this hat, again, quickly will be going onto the pile for Craft for Yeg. And I'm not the only one in this house who has felt the need to craft for charities. My oldest daughter, who was in high school, was having a service day at her school. There were different ways that the students could be of service to their community. One of them was to donate blood. One of them was a group of the music students went to a seniors lodge to play for them and visit with the residents there. Some of the artist students went to an assisted living facility and created beautiful murals on the sidewalks outside while they visited with the residents. There was a group of crafters who were making hats and blankets for preemies at the local NICU hospital. And so my daughter was very interested in crafting, but her good friend wanted to go to a place here in Edmonton called the Mustard Seed, which is a place that provides services for people who are either experiencing homelessness or are financially insecure. So she and her friend decided they could do both. So they started knitting or crocheting various things. So my oldest daughter she started with this hat. This was the first one. This is a hat that she knit flat, and then we figured out some decreases so it could be a small premature baby hat. So that's one. And then she kept going and made another one. So here's another little premature baby hat. And she had enough yarn to make a third. So I was really delighted. It was really lovely to see her knitting. She's known how to knit for a long time, but it's not something that she picks up very often. But she really enjoyed it. And it was really nice to see her crafting and enjoying it. At one point she said to me, knitting's really relaxing. And I said, yeah, I know. It's something that I do all the time. But it's really great to see my daughter enjoying crafting and crafting for other people who have less than we do. So that is really all I have on the needles today. I did want to take some time though to share with you some of the patterns that I have on my sort of radar as patterns that would be great for knitting for charities. These are free patterns and ones that are available and could be knit in a variety of sizes. So of course I always turn to Tincanknits. They have a vast array of patterns sized from small to very large that are very practical. The first one is the antler hat, like the one that I knit, the cabled one, which comes in a variety of sizes. I also really like the barley hat. Is it the barley hat? I'm going to show a picture here. The barley hat is another one that's quite a simple hat, great for beginner knitters, and also comes in a variety of sizes. So you could knit it for children to adults as a great sort of charity item. The other thing that I have been knitting is the basic beanie. Again, I will leave the link in the show notes below. This is a very basic pattern and can be knit flat or in the round. So hats are great for charity, and where I live, mittens are also really important. And Tincanknits has a great mitten pattern called the World's Simplest Mittens. I've knit these before, and they do come in a variety of sizes and I believe a variety of yarn weights. So it's great for using up the yarn that you have in your stash as a way to create things that can be used by other people. The other thing that I'm interested in trying is taking some of the fingering weight or even sport weight yarns that I have and marling them together, because I think that will give me more options in terms of warmer weather knits. I also have a large number of hand knit socks that I have in stash that I will probably be adding a few to my donate pile as well. It's funny that spring has turned into a time for me to be knitting for other people. It's not really a time when we need warm weather knits, but it's a good time to think about knitting for the fall and winter, especially here in Canada when we can have colder weather and having warm accessories is really important. And if you're a follower or a reader of Elizabeth Zimmerman, she recommends May is a great time to be knitting mittens or hats or things for the fall, because again, they're smaller things that you can take with you wherever you go, and also winter is always coming. Thank you for spending some time with me today and talking about warmer weather knits and also knitting for other people. In this case, knitting for people who may have less than we do. It's something that I always want to make time for, but I don't always make time for. And so having joined a group called Craft for Yag, and I'm sure there are groups in your community, I would encourage you to look for them. It's really sort of made me think differently about my stash, about how I can use the yarns in my stash, particularly once I finish a project, to use that leftover to create something that I can donate, so that I don't have it going into my stash, but I'm also creating something that can be useful to somebody else. The Marseille sweater was a great sweater, but I do have about 1.5 50-gram balls of the main color and about 1/2 ball of the contrast color, the stripe color, left over from the project. So I plan to take those two DK weight yarns and create a couple more hats, and just to use them up and get them out of stash, and also add to my donation stash, haul, whatever we want to call it. So I hope that maybe this has given you some food for thought. So maybe to think about the ways that you can give back to in your community, whether that's through your crafting or through other means. I hope that in the next couple of weeks you have time to do the things that you like to do. I know that I plan on knitting a lot. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye.